here from One Stitch After Another, and welcome to episode 2 of Woolly Wednesday, as I'm calling it. I did promise that I'd try and come on every week. Well, it's been a busy week, everybody. I don't know about you, with work and other commitments. I just haven't had much time to knit. I'm going to show you what I have finished. I have got a finished object. It's very tiny, so don't get too excited. I have made progress on a whip, and I've started a new project. But later on in this very short podcast today, I thought that I would talk to you about my favourite knit that I have ever made and why I regret not keeping it. Have you ever done that? Do comment down below, what is the favourite thing that you have ever knitted? Do you still have it? If you do, well done you. If you don't, why not? And do you regret it? I certainly do. I've got a salted caramel latte here. After what seems like an absolutely beautiful summer here in the UK, I think that autumn is well and truly on its way. It is quite mild. I think in the Midlands where I live, it's about 18 degrees currently, but it is very windy, very grey. And I've got to go and walk my mile a day still for Cancer Research UK. That all rhymes. And I might have just smudged my makeup because my mascara is still a bit wet. I am very myopic. I'm very vain. I'm not wearing my glasses and I couldn't be bothered to put my contact lenses in, and I can't actually see you. Is anybody there? Anyway, it's enough of that nonsense. I will put my glasses on at some point. What should we do first? Now, you know that I have taken part in my very first yarn bombing event earlier this summer. That finished on the 10th of August, I believe it was, thereabouts. And I did request that I have my pig back because my youngest daughter saw a picture of it and said, "Oh, I want that pig. Can I have that pig?" I don't know whether she'll thank me for it. And I have shown this on One Stitch After Another in the past. I'm very close, aren't I? I am sorry. Oh, and by the way, that candle I've lit, it's a citrus one that I bought from Home Sense. I want to say 3 years ago, and I burn it a lot and it's still going strong, but it has got the most amazing scent. So I'm feeling like I'm transported into summer. Anyway, I have shown this pig, but I think at the time, I don't think it was sewn up at the belly, and I don't think it had got its little wiggly tail. So here is the pig, and some people have made comments on it. Yes, look, he's got a really, I'm saying it's a he, he's got a really misshapen face. And the snout isn't quite right, and the eyes aren't set enough, and they are proper toy eyes, and I can't retract them, but they needed to be deeper set. Sorry, piggy, poking you in the eye. They needed to be deeper set, and the stuffing needed to, oh, that's a bit better actually. The stuffing needed to be better. I don't have the yarn anymore that I was donated to make this with. It is the Claire Garland Dots Pebbles pattern, and it was very comprehensive in terms of instructions and photographs, and I would be tempted to knit it again because I think it is quite cute, but in the called for yarn. I think I was holding at 1.4 strands of yarn together to get this. Anyway, that can go out of the way now. I don't know quite where to put you there, out of shot. My eldest daughter came home for a flying visit at the weekend, and I said, "Who was it who wanted the pig? Was it you or Ella?" And she said, "It wasn't me. I think it's hideous," or words to that effect. I said, "Do you want to take it for Ella? Because they live in the same city." And she said, "No, she can collect it herself." Anyway, I have made progress on some things. I showed this little acorn last week that I'm knitting for a little papercraft challenge, in fact, and that's got to go in the post very soon. And I have also knit, I'll try and link the pattern down below. I have knit 2 oak leaves to go with it. So these will be going in a little handmade box, a paper crafted box, to somebody whose little challenge I'm entering. They want to have some decorations for a little tree that they've got, an indoor tree. And I thought they will be inundated with That's the right side. They will be inundated with paper crafted things. Let's do something a bit different. Quite cool as earrings actually, wouldn't they, if you did it in a lace weight yarn on a 1mm needle. Yes, I had great fun knitting that, and actually I can't remember what the yarn is. It was something that I had in stash that I knit my youngest daughter a pair of socks with, and there was quite a lot left. So I think that's made quite good use of it, and there's plenty more left. So that is my two finished objects of this week. Let's move on to the whip now. So my work in progress. Oh, that's the wrong one, although I can show you. I showed you that I'm doing Harry the Ram out of here, out of the Louise Crowther Knitted Animals book. And somebody said that they'd got that book but haven't knitted anything out of it. I can't remember who it was, I do apologise. But if you have that book, I can well recommend it. I'd done the head, the body, which I've shown you, and one arm. I've now completed the second arm. So it's knit night tonight. I might take this with me and attempt to start the legs. The legs are so gratifying to use, and this is Sheep G's stone washed, and I love it. I think it's something like 70% cotton and 30% acrylic, something along those lines. Do I have a ball band in here? I do. Let's have a look. Glasses coming on. I can just see how truly hideous I am now. And my glasses are really dirty actually. And I need a haircut. Don't you hate it when people say that about themselves on camera? So Sheep G's stone washed. Let me see. I love it. It's so soft. I'd wear this, you know, as a garment. 78% cotton, 22% acrylic. That made absolutely no difference to my sight because my glasses are absolutely filthy. But you never know, if I get a crack on, I might actually finish Harry the Ram by next Woolly Wednesday. So yes, that's not what I wanted to show you. I've just had a banana. This is going down so well after that banana. It's a Kenko salted caramel latte. Right, I did show last week that I was doing my Coorie poncho. And in Coorie, according to the pattern, means it's kind of Scottish to snuggle. And I said that I wasn't far off getting to a point where I was doing the ribbing. Well, I got to that point and I started the ribbing, but on Sunday night, we were sat on the sofa watching telly. And in fact, we don't have a telly, we have a projector. And it's about an 81, 87 inch screen we just project straight onto the wall. And I love it because like during the day, there's no sign that there's a telly or anything. And I just love it. I don't like it when you walk into a room and the focus of the room is that big screen on the wall, or, you know, historically in the UK on the chimney breast. If you like that, you do you. But yeah, I don't like that. But because it is such a big screen, hubby likes to kind of pretend he's at the cinema and sit in semi-darkness. And I quite like it as well because it is nice and we've got good surround sound, etc. But I was sitting there on Sunday night. Wine may have been consumed with dinner. And I was knitting on my Coorie poncho, and I haven't got the right tools for the job. You need the right tools for the job, don't you? I've got too many stitches on this circular needle because I don't have a circular needle long enough to accommodate all my stitches. And I was shoving the stitches along and I blindly shoved them off the end of the needle. And yes, I couldn't see what I was doing to try and pick them up, and I made things worse, and it ended up that I had to rip back way more than I'd actually knitted that night. So it's taken me time to catch up, but I have actually started the 2x2 rib now. So hopefully by this time next week, this will also be off the needles, which I will be very, very pleased about. It's really heavy and it's going to be deliciously warm. And I'm actually wearing at the moment a pair of dungarees from White Company, and I'm looking at, it's not far off, it would go quite nicely, I'm not wearing anything hand knitted today because it is, although it's really windy, it is quite mild. Yes, so it'll just be a case of weaving ends in and blocking. So I think I've got about 6 or so, maybe 7 rounds of knit 2, purl 2 rib, and I am still increasing every other row at 8 stitches, and then I cast off. So yeah, come on Ashley, we can get this done. What I'm loving, if you didn't see last week's podcast, this is in the colourway Spuddle from Late Family Yarn, and it was dyed by Gaynor, Tales from Cuckoo Land, and I love it. There's this kind of chocolate brown, and I've got some chocolate brown trousers, but there's also, can't see if I can find a decent bit of it, there's also little flecks of cherry red, like a deep cherry red, which is absolutely beautiful. I love it. There's a little bit. Can you see there by my finger? Hope it's focusing all right. And I thought, oh, some cherry red trousers would be quite nice, or a dress that I could wear this over, because this is obviously going to be a layering piece. So yeah, I'm really enjoying that. I'm enjoying talking to you actually. I'm putting off going for my walk because rain has been threatened, but it did say on the forecast that we might escape it this afternoon and the sun might actually come out. I'm not seeing any signs of it at the moment, but there we go. Now, I'm not going to show you the pattern for this, I don't think, because I'm not actually knitting the pattern. That sounds rubbish, doesn't it? I'm following the shaping. I will insert a photo here of it actually. So I've bought this pattern and I'm just, as I say, following it for shaping and doing my own thing. I'm not doing colour work, I'm doing random stripes. So I cast this on yesterday because I couldn't wait. And apparently one of my childhood catchphrases was, I can hardly wait. I couldn't wait to cast it on, and I did last night. If I show you actually, so I showed the yarn last week. This is Knitting for Olive Merino in the colourway Pearl, and I did get it from Knitting for Olive in Copenhagen. Is that Denmark? I always get the Scandinavian countries mixed up. Apologies to anybody who may be watching from Scandinavia. I doubt anybody is. Where in the world are you watching from? If anybody is watching, I'd love to know. Please do leave a comment. I promise I will get back to you this century. Yes, so I've got 5 balls of this, and even paying postage from Europe and import duty or whatever still works out cheaper than buying it in this country. So there's a little hack for you. If you've never ordered from Knitting for Olive, I'm not sponsored or anything, you do get your first order postage free worldwide, which is a good deal, I think. So if I was you, I'd be splurging on all the cashmere and everything. Anyway, not that I've ever ordered any cashmere because I can't afford it. I'm a pensioner now, you know. Yeah, so I am using up my 10 gram minis from last year's yarn retreat at Lay Family Yarn. Oh, and I'm so excited. Just after 9 o'clock this morning or thereabouts, I got an email from the lovely Kelly. I'll leave her link down below. I'm sure you all know her. To say that it's not long till our yarn retreat. In fact, I think it's 2.5 weeks. 2.5 weeks to go. I'm so excited. I'm going with my friend Lou. Yes, and we'll be making our menu choices for dinner soon. I'm so excited. Anyway, yes, I'm not going to get it done in time. But I'm doing a top-down raglan sweater, and this has got lots of increases in the yoke, using the grey as the main colour. I think it's just a lovely neutral, and then my stripes. So this was the first colour that I wound up into a little ball, which you can see is where I've cast on. And then this was the second colour, which I believe actually was actually my colourway. And then this was the third colour. Very close, sorry. And it is giving very, very subtle stripes. If I show you. Just really anxious about not dropping any stitches. Can you see there? It's very subtle at the moment, which is quite nice actually, because I didn't want it to look like a necklace. And then this is the colour I'm going to next. So yes, I'm winding 2 balls at a time, knitting with one and then one's in my bag, so I know that that's the next one. So yeah, so I'm doing 4 rounds while I can of the contrast colour, 8 rounds of the main, and then as I've got more stitches on, I think already I've got 288 stitches, I obviously won't be able to do 4 rounds of the contrast, and some of the contrasts will be a real stark contrast. So it's got a corrugated, as you could see from the pattern, it's got a corrugated cuff and hem. I wish I'd had the courage to do a corrugated rib neck, but it is what it is. I'm not undoing it. So that is my active whip at the moment. I need to still measure hubby's head circumference so that I can start his Musselburgh hat. And thank you to somebody who left a comment last week saying that if you can't do the fancy cast on, which I will have a go at, some people just cast on in an ordinary way and then sew the little gap up. Talking of fancy casts on, I did find something that I think I'm going to use, that Angora that I showed you last week from Louisa Harding. I've got a deep royal purple colour and then a variegated pinks and purples Angora. I've got 4 skeins of each, which is I think it's about 980 meters, and I have found a pattern that will accommodate that amount of yarn, that gauge, or that weight I should say. I haven't checked gauge, and it's this pattern here. I think it's called the Nebula, and I've had it in my favourites for a good 6 months, I want to say. And I don't know whether I'm influenced by the colour in the pattern. And that's something I hope to talk about in a later podcast. What influences you to actually choose, purchase and knit a pattern. But I love the shaping on it. You can see from the picture that there's kind of like an uneven hem at the bottom. It's like a U-shaped hem. It does have a name, but I can't think what it's called. And that's achieved with short row shaping. And then the detail of the shoulders is a 3 needle bind off, I believe, and that looks like 2x2 rib. I think that looks nice. And I'm not going to do stripes because I don't want to have lots and lots of stripy sweaters in my wardrobe, but I'm thinking of some kind of colour block. So yeah, there will be stripes to a certain extent, but I'm thinking maybe doing big areas of colour on the sleeve. I don't know, but certainly around the neck, it's bottom up construction in the round until you separate for the sleeves. Certainly around the neck and that detail on the shoulders, I want to do that in the deep purple, hem and cuffs in the deep purple, and then the majority of it in the variegated with maybe a stripe, or a thick stripe of the purple. I know what I want to achieve in my head, and it's the same for the Minnie's stripy sweater that I'm showing you. Anyway, lovely taste of salted caramel, which is very autumnal. Beautiful smell of citrus, which is very summery. See if I can give my glasses a bit of a clean. So apologies if I have talked about this before. I am a woman of a certain age and I'm getting quite forgetful. Not in a worrying way, I hope, for myself. But I certainly have talked about Patricia Roberts before. I have several Patricia Roberts books. Back in the day when I was a university student studying in London, I did have a Saturday job in her Covent Garden store, which was illuminating, eye-opening. I later went on to work at head office, which was also very interesting, illuminating and eye-opening. At the time, Patricia Roberts had 3 or 4 shops around London. She had one in Knightsbridge, one on the Brompton Road, I might say in here actually, and one in Covent Garden, if I haven't just said that. Doesn't say in here. Oh, it does say though that patterns may not be knitted for resale. Yes, and the Covent Garden shop had an upstairs and a downstairs, and downstairs she sold high fashion at very hefty prices alongside her hand knitted garments, which had been sent to knitters all around the country. And it was when I was working at head office that I understood this. So if you were a talented knitter, and you have to be to knit her, excuse me, a lot of her patterns, you could work from home, obviously, and you would be asked to knit a pattern, and you would be sent the yarn, and every single scrap of yarn was weighed. When you sent that garment back, you had to send all your scraps back as well. And at first I thought, well, that's quite mean, but I guess it did kind of stop pilfering. And I guess when a knitter sent their items back, the finished garment was weighed, the scraps were weighed, there'd be a little bit of leeway for, you know, weaving in ends, etc., etc. But basically all the scraps had to go back. Now, we as employees of Patricia Roberts could buy the scraps at really ridiculously reduced prices. And while I was working at head office, I bought a shed load of Angora scraps. And back in the day, Patricia Roberts' Angora was absolutely beautiful and came in a whole wealth of colours. And I knit, I don't know if there's a better picture of it than that. I don't think there is. I knit this pattern here. Sorry, things just fallen on the floor. Let's get that out there so it doesn't flow. This pattern here, which is probably the most complicated pattern I have ever knit. I love the shape of it. I used a dark navy Shetland for the main colour, and then I had different shades of blue and grey Angora for all the details. And I just loved it. I absolutely loved it. I would have knit it between, let's say, 1987. Let's say it took me 2 years to knit. I'm going to have to take my jacket off. I've gone really hot. And I kept it, because I kept it for many years. I kept it until after I got married. And I remember wearing it to work in the last school that I worked in, and I left there in 2018. I probably hadn't had Ella, my youngest. So probably about 23, 24 years ago, I got rid of that jumper, and there was nothing wrong with it. I doubt that it would fit me now, but I think with a bit of aggressive blocking, it may do. And I've got this hankering, I've got this yearning to knit it again. Now, the only problem is there is a lot of controversy about Angora, isn't there, in terms of animal cruelty, and I fully get that, and I'm fully behind that. We don't want animals to be suffering. And it means also that it's not widely available. The quality isn't very good compared to what it used to be, and the colours are minimal. And I think I might have had 7 contrasting colours. Let me have a look and see what it says in the pattern. You can, sadly Patricia Roberts died a couple of years ago, but you can get a lot of her books on eBay, etc., etc. Let me have a look and see how many. So you need 5 colours of Angora. The pattern actually calls for lamb's wool or cashmere. Can you imagine doing it in cashmere? Cashmere and Angora. Oh my word. Yes, and it's just, you can't really see, but on the top of the sleeve, can you see that little checkerboard pattern? I remember I had like a bright blue, like a teal blue Angora, almost like that shade of blue against another Angora, and just the contrast of them together, oh, it was just delicious. So big regrets about that. And you know, I've been on about 20 minutes longer than I thought I was going to be today. I do need to wrap this up and go on my walk. I hope that you have enjoyed today's little chat. And oh, just before I go, I tell you, as I say, my memory's going. I don't know whether I talked about this last week, but I did a creative reset course it's all about painting. I'm not a painter, I'm not an artist. And yes, I did the last lesson last week, and oh dear, yes, you'll see I'm not an artist. This was something that I did. I don't know whether it makes any difference which way up it goes, but and yeah, that's going to go in my sketchbook just as a memory. I would not go as far as to call it art at all. But I made this out of the scraps of paint in my palette, and I love it. And my husband loves it, and it's going to go this way up, and I'm going to get it framed professionally, and it's going to go in our kitchen, because we have a painting that's got a lot of this pale green and a little bit of this orangey colour in it, so it'll coordinate quite nicely. Anyway, that's it. I definitely am going now. Do try and pop back next week if you can. I'd love it if you subscribed, if you're not already. Leave me a comment, leave me a thumbs up, because it really does help me out. Take care, and whatever you're working on, be it knitting, crochet or stitching, put love into every stitch. Bye now.